إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الكلام كلام الله وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار بعد. Indeed, the topic, ikhwan, of the ulama, of the people of knowledge, and of that which is related to ilm in general, is from the things, brothers and sisters, that Allah Azza wa Jal has made mention of in the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as they have been mentioned and occur in the sunnah of His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. For indeed the affair of ilm, as our Salaf used to say, al-ilmu wasila ila kulli fadila. Al-ilmu wasila ila kulli fadila. That is, ilm is a means to every fadila, to every noble trait and every noble character. And it was on the basis of that which they possessed from ilm, that is the salaf of this ummah, it was on the basis of what they possessed from ilm that we saw from them the illuminated and the radiant biographies that we read concerning them in their lives, that were filled, ikhwan, with khair and filled with barakah and filled with the qudwa al-hasana for the rest of the ummah, that is the perfect and most beautiful example for the rest of the ummah al-islamiyah. And so they concentrated on that basis upon ilm, and they looked towards the adab of ilm. And if it were not for the fact that our time here is running out, we would have done a series just around the adab of ilm and the adab of seeking ilm, because of its importance, extreme importance, that ilm has with it adab. Ilm has mannerisms, and by way of those mannerisms a person obtains that ilm, they reach it, they acquire it. From the mannerisms, we may possibly mention some of them briefly. From the mannerisms, first and foremost, the most important of them, and that is al-ikhlas, ikhlasul niyyati lillah. That is, that a person is sincere for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that ikhlasul niyyah is from the things that we saw the salaf of this ummah, on the basis of it they obtained the ilm that they obtained. That they were sincere for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, and they sought that knowledge in order to draw them closer, or they sought it as a means to draw them closer to Allah Azza wa Jal, and not as something that they would use to argue with their peers or to make an issue or to raise an issue with the ulama. La. Rather, they sought knowledge for the purpose of drawing closer to Allah Azza wa Jal, and so Allah Azza wa Jal blessed them with it because of that sincerity that they had. Indeed, Imam Ahmad, when he was asked about seeking hadith, he said, and whether he sought hadith for the sake of Allah, he said that as far as hadith is concerned, then it was something that the people were seeking, so we sought it. He said, وَأَمَّا الْإِخْلَاصِ فَعَزِيزٌ. As far as ikhlas is concerned, then that is something aziz, that is something very difficult. Similarly, Hisham al-Dustawai, that great alim from the ulama of hadith, he mentioned, وَاللَّهِ إِنِّي لَا أَسْتَطِيعُ أَنْ أَقُولُ إِنِّي طَلَبْتُ الْحَدِيثَ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ قَطْ. He said, verily I am not able to say at all that I have sought hadith for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that was how they were so concerned with ikhlas and sincerity, that they would reject or they would negate it from themselves even. And that in and of itself is sincerity. That they would say, sincerity means no. But we try our best and we try and obtain and we try and be as sincere to Allah Azza wa Jalla as possible, but they would negate it from themselves. And so Hisham al-Dustawai, he said, by Allah, I'm not able to say that I sought hadith one day for the face of Allah Azza wa Jalla. For me to be bold enough to make that statement, I'm not able. And as we mentioned, that in and of itself is ikhlas. And then Imam al-Dhahabi rahimahullah ta'ala, he, after mentioning the narration of Hisham al-Dustawai, he said, Wallahi wala ana. He said, by Allah wala ana, me either. He said, وَلَقَدْ كَانَ السَّلَفِ. Indeed, the salaf of this ummah, يَطْلُبُونَ الْحَدِيثَ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ فَحَصَلُوا وَصَارُوا أَئِمَّ يُقْتَدَى بِهِمْ. He said, indeed, the salaf of this ummah, they sought hadith for the face of Allah and they obtained it. وَصَارُوا أَئِمَّ, and they became أَئِمَّ, salatullah, يُقْتَدَى بِهِمْ. أَئِمَّ, imams that were followed. They became أَئِمَّ يُقْتَدَى بِهِمْ. They became أئمة and imams that were followed. He said, وَقَلَبَهُ قَوْمًا دُونَهُمْ أَوَّلًا لَا لِلَّهِ. He said, and then a people who are lesser than them sought hadith initially not for the sake of Allah. وَحَصَلُوا. He said, but they obtained it. They received something from ilm, even though they set out not seeking knowledge for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. وَحَصَلُوا وَسَارُوا نعم وحصلوا واستفاقوا أنفسهم فجرهم العلم إلى الإخلاص. He said, and so they obtained ilm, they took account of themselves, حاسبوا أنفسهم, and then the knowledge pulled them to ikhlas. That is, the knowledge that they obtained caused them to realize the importance of ikhlas and to concentrate upon it. So the first of the adab, no doubt, of the talib ilm is that he is sincere, that he is mukhlis. Similarly, we have from the affairs related to seeking knowledge, at-tamassuk bil-kitabi was-sunnah. That is, to cling to the book and the sunnah when one seeks knowledge. And that knowledge is not sought regardless of its source. Knowledge is not sought for knowledge's sake. Rather, knowledge is sought because of the fact that its source is the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the sunnah. And indeed Allah Azza wa Jalla has mentioned, هو الذي بعث رسوله بالهدى أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله. It is he who has sent his messenger with guidance and the religion of truth, that it may become manifest over all religion. And as our scholars have mentioned, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah and others, he said, al-huda ilmun nafi'. Guidance, the intent behind it is ilmun nafi', is beneficial knowledge. Wa deen al-haq amalun salih. And the true religion is righteous action. هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى. It is he who has sent his messenger with guidance, that is beneficial knowledge. ودين الحق, and the true deen, يعني عمل صالح, righteous action. And so the affair then of seeking knowledge is not just knowledge for knowledge's sake or anything that sounds good, or rhetoric, or kathratul kalam, يعني just speech and eloquent speech. That in and of itself is not ilm. العلم قال الله قال رسوله قال الصحابة ليس بالتمويه. As Imam Ibn al-Qayyim and Imam al-Dhahabi have mentioned, knowledge is Allah said, his messenger said, his Sahaba said, and it is not causing confusion. ما العلم نسبك في الخلاف سفاحة بين الرسول وبين الرأي فقيه كلا ولا جهد الصفات ونفيها خوفا من التمثيل والتشبيه. He said that indeed ilm is not that you erect between yourself an individual that you contend or you use him to contend with the messenger. يعني an alim or a faqih. And so you contend with the statement of the messenger and the statement of this faqih. How possibly are you going to use the statement of anyone from among mankind and use that to contend with the statement of the messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? He said, and indeed it is not rejection of the sifat, it is not rejection of the attributes of Allah Azza wa Jal and negation of them, fearing that one will resemble Allah Azza wa Jal to His creation. And so the affair then of seeking knowledge revolves around at-tamassuk bil-kitab was-sunnah. That is, that the knowledge itself is taken from the book and the sunnah. Similarly, from the adab of talab al-ilm is taqwallahi tabaraka wa ta'ala fi talab al-ilm. That is, that one fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when he seeks knowledge. We mentioned ikhlas, we mentioned that which is related to clinging to the kitab and the sunnah. But taqwallahi, fearing Allah Azza wa Jal when one seeks knowledge, manifests in numerous ways. It manifests in how one deals with his brother, his sister. It manifests in how one deals with his shaykh and his teacher. It manifests with how one deals with the knowledge that he seeks, why he seeks it. It manifests in that which is related, mathalan, to the issues that he studies and the issues that he gains knowledge of. Does he seek, when he comes to, for example, an issue that there is some difference of opinion in, does he take that which is easiest, the most appealing to his nafs, because he knows that some scholar is saying it, or does he take that which is closest to that which has in it taqwa and has in it the fear of Allah Azza wa Jal? And so during the talab itself and during him seeking knowledge or her seeking knowledge, it is not one's desires that one follows, but one follows the fear of Allah, the taqwa of Allah Azza wa Jal. And they do with their seeking of knowledge that which is closest and most befitting in terms of fearing Allah Azza wa Jal. Indeed, Allah Azza wa Jal has mentioned that if you do so, يُؤْتِكُمْ كِفْلَيْنِ مِنْ رَحْمَتِهِ, that He'll give you 2 portions of His mercy. And many of the people of knowledge have mentioned that that is a reference to ilm. Likewise, we have the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِن تَتَّقُوا اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَكُمْ فُرْقَانًا. O ye who believe, if you fear Allah, then He will make for you a furqan. That is, He will make for you a criterion. Again, scholars of tafsir have mentioned that it has in it a reference to the affair of knowledge. That furqan is فضلا أو فصلا بين الحق والباطل. It is a distinction, or that which by way of it he may or she may determine and or cause or distinguish between truth and falsehood. And so the affair then returns back to ilm, that if one fears Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah Azza wa Jal will bless them with correct knowledge, with sound understanding, and with that which would draw them closer and closer to Allah and increase them in knowledge. Similarly, from the adab and from the mannerisms of seeking knowledge is that a person, as much as possible, they have at-tafarrugh, يعني تفريغ القلب, that one frees or empties their heart for seeking knowledge, and that one is, when they seek knowledge, they have that himmatul aliyah, that himmatul aliyah. As far as freeing or clearing the heart for the purpose of seeking knowledge, intent behind that, no doubt, is that one does not allow the affairs of the dunya to busy him when it comes to seeking knowledge, and at the time of seeking knowledge. And that, no doubt, our scholars mention, have in it a connection to the times when he seeks knowledge. Yani that not only does he attempt to purify himself, to remove any of the things that have been busying him from his day and from the affairs of the dunya, but that he likewise sits in a place that frees him from those thoughts, or those types of thoughts. The best of those places, of course, is the masjid, and if not, then that he finds within the home or wherever it is that he seeks knowledge, that which does not have around it something that will busy him away from seeking that knowledge and from concentrating upon it. And that himmatul aliyah, or that him having lofty goals and purposes, is has within it that which is related then to having to being nasheed, and to having energy for knowledge, and not that when it comes to knowledge or seeking knowledge, all of a sudden we're tired, all of a sudden we feel sleepy, all of a sudden we can do some rest, we could do with some rest, all of a sudden we didn't really sleep well last night, so I'm going to get some, and so on. And when we're in the dars, we slouch in the dars, lying down, mathalan, leaning on the wall, lying on one side, listening to the dars. That was not the adab of the Salaf when it came to ilm. Adab of the Salaf when it came to ilm was that they were attentive. Even those from among the ulama of hadith, they were attentive, even with the knowledge that they already knew. And so their attitude was not, well, I know this already, so let me just relax, or let me recline, let me lie down, get some sleep. La. If the forum was a gathering of ilm, then they would be attentive, even if it was something that they already knew. Ata ibn Abi Rabah, he said that verily I, on occasions, will hear someone from among the students of hadith. Ata ibn Abi Rabah, Imam from the A'imma of the Salaf. He said that verily, on occasions, I would hear someone from the students of hadith narrating to me a hadith, and I would act as though it was the first time that I've heard it. The way I would be attentive and listen, and the facial expression and what have you, even though I heard the hadith some 20 years before he was born. And so that then was because of the fact that from the affairs related to ilm is that one is respectful when ilm is delivered, even if one knows that, even if one is acquainted with that, even if it is something that even if it is something that I am well acquainted with. Something that I've noticed in the masjid, ikhwan, is that some of the brothers that enter the masjid without praying rak'atayn and sitting down. The origin concerning entering the masjid is that one, when he enters the masjid, it is compulsory, if he intends to sit down, to pray 2 rak'ah. To pray 2 rak'ah. So you're going to pray 2. Huh? Oh, explain it to me. When is it? Oh, okay. No, we'll talk to you after that. Yes, so as far then as the affair of seeking knowledge is concerned, as we mentioned, it is that one, when he seeks knowledge, he has a concentration upon the knowledge. That is, he focuses upon it, he frees his heart for it, he has energy for it. And that he manifests the manners of seeking that knowledge when he does so. Similarly, in relation to the affair and the adab and the mannerisms of seeking knowledge, is that what a person concentrates upon memorizing that which is of most importance first and foremost. And that is that he concentrates, for example, upon first and foremost, of course, as the Salaf used to advise, upon seeking knowledge of the Book of Allah Azza wa Jalla, and that starts with memorizing the Book of Allah Subhanahu. The memorization of the Book of Allah Azza wa Jalla is from the most important branches of ilm and branches of knowledge that the student of knowledge could possibly concentrate upon, since the Book of Allah Azza wa Jalla is the source of everything else that he studies. Any single one of us, ikhwan, when we seek knowledge, our knowledge, of course, is going to be of the Book of Allah, of the Sunnah of His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that which is related to an understanding of the two. And since the Sunnah is the explanation of the Quran itself, as Allah Azza wa Jalla had mentioned, وَنَزَّلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الذِّكْرَ لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ مَا نُزِّلَ إِلَيْهِمْ. That indeed we have revealed to you the reminder. We have revealed to you, O Muhammad, the reminder that you may تُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ, that you may make clear to the people what was revealed to them. So Allah Azza wa Jal revealed the reminder, revealed the Book of Allah Azza wa Jal and the Sunnah is the explanation of the Book of Allah. And so since the Sunnah is the explanation of the Book of Allah, the origin then of the Sunnah is that which is present within the Kitab. Origin of the Sunnah is that which is present within the Kitab, within the Book of Allah subhanahu. And therefore, ayyuhal ikhwah, the issue is one that revolves then around seeking the knowledge of the Book of Allah subhanahu, the knowledge of the Sunnah, the knowledge of that which is connected, ikhwan, to the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so when we speak then about the speech of Allah Azza wa Jal, we're not just speaking about it from a standpoint of what we believe concerning it, but we speak about it from a standpoint of studying it, understanding it, taking from it the mawa'id, taking from it the benefits, and knowing that the Book of Allah Azza wa Jal is the source of the knowledge of this deen. The source of the knowledge of this deen, ikhwan, is the Book of Allah subhanahu. Now, so therefore, the affair then is one that is shadeed, is one that is important and imperative that we start and we take the correct approach when seeking knowledge of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alongside seeking that knowledge, of course, we have the affair of acting upon that knowledge, acting upon ilm. Since acting upon ilm, ikhwan, is why one seeks knowledge. That we seek it in order to act upon it. That we seek it in order to act upon that knowledge. It is not just sought for knowledge's sake, so it is said that I am more knowledgeable than you. Rather, it is sought in order to act upon it. And that then is from the statements, or there are many from the statements of the Salaf concerning the affair of acting upon knowledge. Al-Imam Sufyan ibn Uyayna, he mentioned, لَيْسَ شَيْءٌ أَنْفَعْ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ ينفع وليس شيء أضر من العلم لا ينفع ويوم القيامة يسأل العبد عن علمه أو يسأل العبد عن علمه ما عمل فيه. That he said that indeed there is nothing that is more beneficial than knowledge that is beneficial. And that is his statement, or what he intends by way of that, is that there is nothing that is more beneficial than knowledge that is sought for action. And that is when knowledge is beneficial. Knowledge is not beneficial, ikhwan, if we seek it and then don't act upon it. But it becomes beneficial when we seek it and then we act upon that which we have sought. And so when we seek it, we act upon it. Imam Ahmad rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentioned that indeed from the zakat of ilm is to act upon it. From the zakat of ilm is to act upon it. He himself mentions concerning himself, as it relates to memorizing ilm, is that never did he seek knowledge of a hadith or gain knowledge of a hadith, except that he acted upon it at least once. And that, of course, is as it relates to those things that one does not have to constantly perform from the wajibat. And so from the zakah of ilm, ikhwan, is that a person acts upon it. And of course, ikhwan, the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to seek refuge from that, that is, from knowledge that does not benefit. Allahumma, the Messenger used to say, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min ilmin la yanfa'. Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from knowledge that does not benefit. For indeed, knowledge that does not benefit is knowledge that is not acted upon. And Allah Azza wa Jalla informs us of the Yahud, مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ هُمْ مِنُ التَّوْرَاتِ, that those who carried the Tawrat were like, or were resemblant to himar, يَحْمِلُ أَسْفَارًا, to donkeys carrying books. That is, that they were people of knowledge and people who had ilm, but there was no action upon their ilm, so they're more resemblant, Allah Azza wa Jalla resembles them to donkeys carrying books. The donkey who carries books, donkey who has Majmu' al-Fatawa on his back of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, as heavy as the book is and as much knowledge as the book contains, he himself will never be able to benefit from it. Never. Other than if his owner reads it and he acts in accordance with it as it relates to treating him well. But as far as him himself reading those books, benefiting from them, then that, ikhwan, is something that will not occur as it relates to the donkey. And that is the example that Allah Azza wa Jal strikes with the knowledge that one does not act upon. Therefore, knowledge, ikhwan, is sought for the purpose of action. Then it becomes beneficial. That is when it becomes beneficial. And as we mentioned, Sufyan al-Thawri, he said, لَيْسَ شَيْءٌ أَنْفَعْ مِنْ عِلْمٍ يَنْفَعْ وَلَيْسَ شَيْءٌ أَضَرُّ مِنْ عِلْمٍ لَا يَنْفَعُ. He said that indeed there is nothing more beneficial than knowledge that benefits. Knowledge benefits when one acts upon it. And there is nothing that is more harmful than knowledge that does not benefit. There is nothing more harmful than knowledge that does not benefit. Similarly, as it relates to the affair of ilm, and from the adab of seeking knowledge, from the adab of talab al-ilm, is that one has adab with the one that he takes ilm from. And the first of those adab is ikhtiyar al-alim wa ikhtiyar al-shaykh, that one chooses the person of knowledge that he sits with. And that selection no doubt returns back to knowledge and returns back to taqwa and that which that person possesses. As far as the affair of seeking knowledge and of memorizing and of studying with an alim and concentrating upon particular branches of knowledge, where there are numerous statements from the ulama, from the salaf of this ummah. At the head of them, of course, the popular statement of al-Imam Muhammad bin Sirin rahimahullah ta'ala, who mentioned إِنَّ هَذَا الْعِلْمَ دِينٌ فَانظُرُوا عَمَّنْ تَأْخُذُونَ دِينَكُمْ. That indeed this ilm, this knowledge is deen. And wallahi, ikhwan, this knowledge is deen. This knowledge is your religion. Your religion is nothing but that which is present within the book of Allah, the sunnah of the messenger, and understood correctly. That which is present within the book of Allah and the sunnah of his messenger sallallahu and the statements of the salaf of this ummah, ikhwan, then that is ilm. That is our deen. Our deen is manifest upon the basis of that which we practice is that which we have taken and that which has come from the book of Allah, the sunnah, and the way of the sahaba, as taught to us by our shuyukh and by our people of knowledge. And that is not that they are the sources of ilm, or that they are the sources of huda, and they are the sources of revelation. Rather, that they convey the ilm, they convey the huda, they convey the revelation to the ummah al-Islamiyah. We take that from them and act upon it. And that is our deen. That is our deen. Our deen is manifest in that which we have taken from ilm and then we put into practice. And so Imam Muhammad bin Sirin, he mentioned, Inna hadha al-ilma deen. Know that this ilm is deen. And that is a reality that we oftentimes don't reflect upon. This knowledge is your deen. This knowledge is your deen. فَانْظُرُوا عَمَّنْ تَأْخُذُونَ دِينَكُمْ. So look to the one who you take your deen from. Look to the one who you take your deen from. And therefore, from the adab of taking knowledge and of seeking knowledge is that which is related to the one that we take that ilm from. And the asl and the origin, ikhwan, is that we take the ilm, we take knowledge from the one who has taken it from its sources, that is from the ulama of the deen. Al-Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions بعد حفظ القرآن يحفظ من كل فن مختصر. Here he discusses that which is related to what he should study. After we mentioned the importance of seeking knowledge from someone and choosing the right person to take knowledge from, and not anyone who is impressive with knowledge is an individual who knowledge should be sought from and should be taken from. And that is from our fiqh and from our understanding of the deen of Allah Azza wa Jalla, that we understand that not anybody that is impressive with ilm is one that ilm should be taken from. Then, after we have been correct in our selection of the person that we study with, then we take that which is of major importance, and then that which follows it in importance. And thus you find that our scholars, ayyuhal ikhwa, when they teach from that which is related to the understanding and the fiqh and the faham that they have, and that which they have taken from the salaf of this ummah, and in fact from the prophets and the messengers, is that they start, as Allah Azza wa Jal refers to the ulama as, and commands them to be Rabbaniyun, commands them to be people of or to, as he describes them, Rabbaniyun, وَلَكِنْ كُونُوا رَبَّانِيُّونَ بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تُعَلِّمُونَ الْكِتَابِ وَبِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَدْرُسُونَ. That you should be Rabbaniyun because of the fact that you teach the book and you study it. And Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, he said that the Rabbani is the one that teaches the small ilm before the major ilm. Teaches the small ilm before the major ilm. And that is that he looks at his crowd, he looks at his audience, he gauges the level that they are at, and he teaches them that which is relevant to them. That is not that he never teaches big knowledge or major, or more difficult knowledge, but the Rabbani, whether it is the alim or the one that at least tries to follow his way, is the one that teaches sigar al-ilm, teaches the people that which is relative to them, and does not take his session as a session of doing nothing but impressing the people, and showing them how much knowledge I actually possess, and how much I've memorized, and how much I understand. And so the benefit for them is minimal, since the only thing that that individual is trying to do is impress the people with that which he knows. Rather, Rabbaniyah is that a person looks towards his crowd. He looks towards those who are present before him, and he teaches them that which is relative to them, nurtures them upon the small ilm, as the scholars used to mention, even though the small ilm in actuality is major ilm. مثلا knowledge of the aqidah, knowledge of that which is related to basics in fiqh, basics in adab, that which is relative to them. And so the Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions, فبعد حفظ القرآن يحفظ من كل فن مختصر ويبدأ بالأهم فالمهم. He said after memorizing the Quran, he memorizes a small book in every branch of ilm, and he begins with that which is most important, كالفقه, like fiqh, والحديث, والأصول, والنحو. He said like fiqh, hadith, usul, and nahu, that is grammar. And then the rest of the branches or the sciences, على ما تيسر, in that which is easy for him in that regard. Similarly, from the adab of the student of knowledge, with ilm and with sitting with the people of knowledge, is that he preserves the hurma, or he preserves the honor of the alim. And the hurma is that which is related to the sacred nature of the alim. And that is not to say that one raises the alim above, or the person of knowledge above his station, but he understands that here is an individual that is conveying to me the inheritance of the prophets. I do not have a blasé attitude with him and treat him as though he is just a regular individual, or the only difference is this one has some knowledge. Rather, the alim has a particular manner in which he is to be treated. There is a manner in which one deals with him, when one walks with him, when one talks to him, when one addresses him, when one sits before him. There is a mannerism in that regard. And Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam taught this ummah the manners of sitting with the person of knowledge, as occurs in the hadith of Jibreel, that he came فَأَسْنَدَ رُكْبَتَيْهِ إِلَى رُكْبَتَيْهِ وَوَضَعَ كَفَّيْهِ عَلَى فَخِذَيْهِ, that he came and أَسْنَدَ رُكْبَتَيْهِ إِلَى رُكْبَتَيْهِ, that he put his, or he joined his rukbah, that is knee to knee, sat before the alim. And here the alim was the messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, أعلم العلماء, that here the messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam being the most knowledgeable of anyone knowledgeable. Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam taught those who were present the adab then of sitting with the alim, sitting with the shaykh. And that no doubt ikhwan has and revolves around ihtiram, showing him honor and respect. And therefore ikhwan, those are from the adab that he has. Similarly, as we mentioned, there are adab related to how he sits in the dars, how he sits in the jalsa. Unless he has problems sitting, for example, some of the brothers have problems sitting for long periods, or they have back issues or what have you, then one should not be slouching in the dars, reclining in the dars, laying back in the dars. And that is something that we find many of the brothers do. They'll come, lie across the wall with the miswak in his mouth, listening to the dars, as though he's watching a movie, or as though he's just waiting for some of the brothers to come so we can play dominoes. Ikhwan, this is ilm. We do not treat ilm in a manner, ikhwan, or any manner of disrespect. Rather, ilm is yuhtaram, it is respected, and it is dealt with in an honorable and noble manner. Similarly, that one remains silent listening to the alim, and that is one does not chit-chat. That, no doubt, as it relates to the men, is something that is generally observed, but what is seen, and particularly since this is a session for the women, what is seen and what must be drawn to the sisters' attention is that which happens, and it doesn't just happen, ikhwan, here in Trinidad. It happens in almost every community in the West. And that is that our sisters in the durus and in the circles of knowledge come for the dars and sit down and natter and chit-chat from the beginning of the dars to the end of the dars. Sister, you can't be patient and wait till the dars is finished before you say what you have to say. You can't be patient and wait till that which has been conveyed is over before you start talking. It is that important that you have to mention it straight away. If it is something daruri, if it is something of the essence and something that is a necessity, then of course, whisper it. If it is something that necessitates, for example, that you have to leave, whisper to someone something related to that and leave. But as far as coming to the dars, for the purpose of the dars and then sitting and chatting all the way to the dars, it is ajib. And it is a complaint that we have from the more diligent and serious sisters across our Western countries. That the more serious sisters constantly complain of sisters coming to the durus and chatting throughout the dars, and sisters can't hear. Sisters can't benefit. Those who have come to benefit can't benefit. If it is that the only reason you've come is to chat, then to my understanding, did you sell us some good deals and some free minutes? Sit down at home and chat on the telephone as long as you like. But don't disturb those who have come to take and to benefit the inheritance of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to draw closer to Allah with their deen and with their ibadah and with their worship and understanding. Sit down, you come to this place, the masjid, baytun min buyutillah, and then you corrupt and spoil that which is present within that hadith. Majtama'a qawmun fi baytin min buyutillah yatluna kitab Allah wa yatadarasunahu baynahum illa nazalat alayhim as-sakinah wa ghashiyatuhum ar-rahmah wa حفتهم الملائكة وذكرهم الله في من عنده. The Messenger of Allah, he said that no people come together in a house from the houses of Allah, studying the book of Allah, teaching it between themselves, studying it among themselves, except that mercy comes down upon them, sakina descends upon them, tranquility. The angels spread their wings over them, and Allah Azza wa Jal mentions them in a gathering that is better than it. Not no doubt, ikhwan, is that any of the topics that are related to the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal is considered from studying the book of Allah. Since if it is a deen related topic, then its source is going to be the book of Allah Azza wa Jal. Its source, as we mentioned, as it relates to the Sunnah, for example, the Sunnah, its source is the Quran. And Allah Azza wa Jal has commanded us, Ati'u Allah wa Ati'u Rasul, obey Allah and obey the Messenger. So studying the Sunnah is from studying that which revolves around the book of Allah Azza wa Jal. Fiqh, that which is related to how we should pray, how we should purify ourselves, salah, siyam, zakah, all of that are things, all of these affairs are things that Allah Azza wa Jal has commanded us with in the book of Allah. Its detail has come in the Sunnah, and so studying that is from studying the book of Allah. And so when you come then, this great reward that Allah Azza wa Jal, that the Messenger of Allah has mentioned in this hadith, why spoil it upon yourself by sitting down and nattering all the way through the dust? Why? And if it is that you have to make a quick comment, make it a quick comment, a quick statement, and then turn back to paying attention to the dars. Because if we cannot start with at least being quiet for ilm, then we haven't even started upon the path of knowledge. If we cannot at least be quiet to listen to ilm, then we have not even stopped, we haven't even taken a step upon the path of knowledge. What is the difference between you and somebody who is sitting in the masjid watching a YouTube video? What is the difference between you and someone sitting in the masjid watching a film on their telephone? What is the difference? And so the affair then of having adab, or the correct mannerism in the majlis and in the sitting, is something, sisters, that and I concentrate upon the sisters with this point, because it is something that is constantly a complaint from sisters against sisters. And if it is a masjid like this one, where the section, there is a divide between the brothers and the sisters, but we can still hear the voices, then that is even worse. Since you're not only disturbing the sisters who are trying to benefit, but we now can hear the voices of, we the men can hear the voices of you sisters who are speaking. And sometimes their voices are that raised, you can even hear the conversation. You can even hear the topic of the conversation while the dars is taking place. So sisters, pay attention to that wallahi, if I use unequivocal words, wallahi, it's an ugly trait. By Allah, it is an ugly trait that you should deal with ilm and knowledge in that manner. Now, and so with those adab and with those mannerisms, it is that, no doubt, brothers and sisters, that we saw the salaf of this ummah manifesting, and we saw how they benefited ikhwan. The likes of Aisha radiallahu anha being the greatest of the ulama of the women, and the one who is and was a fine example to those women that, or any woman that comes after her, seeking to seek knowledge and seeking to benefit in terms of ilm. Then Aisha radiallahu anha, of course, ikhwan, is the most beautiful example as it relates to seeking knowledge, ikhwan. And that she was from among the fuqaha of the Sahaba. As we mentioned, ikhwan, she was from those who people would return back to for fatwa. That they would come to her and they would seek knowledge from her, and they would seek a clarity in relation to those affairs and in relation to those branches, from the branches of knowledge that she would either teach or that they were studying. So they would come to her and they would ask her concerning the affairs of the deen, concerning that which is related to the important issues. She was an alima as it relates to fara'id and as it relates to inheritance. She was an alima in the lugha. She was, ikhwan, from among the most distinguished of the ulama from among the women. And thus she had from the most knowledgeable of students, the likes of Amra, who was from among, likewise, the fuqaha of the tabi'een, and from the female fuqaha of the tabi'een, student of Aisha radiallahu anha. And indeed, ikhwan, the females and the women who were known for knowledge and were known for ilm, they were many and they were plentiful within this ummah, bihamdillah. From them we have the likes of Fatima bint Muhammad ibn Ahmad al-Samarqandi. Fatima bint Muhammad ibn Ahmad, she was from among the students, and her husband was the author or the well-known scholar al-Kasani, who authored the well-known book Bada'i al-Sana'i', and she was, alongside being the wife of this alim, she was from among the fuqaha who were returned back to, and she on occasions would correct him, and on occasions he would return to her with issues related to knowledge, and he would take from her, that is, he would take her corrections, he would take her pieces of advice related to knowledge, because it was well known that she was likewise from the people of knowledge, and from those who had taken the ilm, ikhwan, and were distinguished in that regard. From them we had the females who were the teachers of some of the scholars of hadith and were the teachers of some of the ulama. From them, Ayyub al-Sakhtiyani, he had muhaddithat, teachers, female teachers, who he took hadith from. Al-Imam Suyuti, he had female teachers. From them, the most distinguished of them, Hani bint al-Hurina, who was from the teachers of Al-Imam Suyuti, and she was named Al-Musnid. And she was named Al-Musnid because of the fact that she was from those who were distinguished in the knowledge of hadith, and she would narrate a hadith and convey a hadith to many of those who were present in that era. She was likewise, it was well known that she was distinguished in the knowledge of Nahu, in the knowledge of the Arabic language. And she has been mentioned from the ulama and from the nuhat in the book that lists the scholars of the Arabic language of the past, Bughyatul Wa'ad fi Akhbar al-Nuhat, that she is mentioned from the scholars of the language. She's mentioned from the ulama of the language. Imam Suyuti likewise took from another woman, Fadl binti Muhammad al-Maqdisi, and she again was from among the women, or from among the female ulama who Imam Suyuti took from. Similarly, from his female teachers was Khadija bint Abil Hasan, and she was from among the teachers of Imam Suyuti. From them, Nashwan bint Abdullah al-Kasani. From them, Hajar bint Muhammad al-Masiyya. From them, Amatul Khaliq bint Abdul Latif al-Uqba. And those then were from the female teachers of Al-Imam al-Suyuti. And we have, ikhwan, numerous examples from the examples of the Salaf of this ummah concerning those women who were well known to be women and ulama of hadith, and to be from those who were the teachers of many of the a'imma of hadith. And that affair returns back to the concentration that the Salaf of this ummah had upon teaching and upon seeking knowledge. And that was not only restricted to the men, but it was something that manifested among the women. And this affair then of them having this concentration upon ilm, it had an effect upon them, just as it had an effect upon the relationship that they had with themselves. That from the affairs related to this issue is that it caused their relationships to be strengthened by way of the knowledge that they had. And therefore, the brotherhood that was present among them and the sisterhood that was among them was one that was based in knowledge and in ilm, and based in khair and in this taqwa that they had, and they manifest that one for another. As it relates then to the affairs of brotherhood and the affairs of sisterhood, then no doubt the knowledge has a direct effect upon the relationship that we have among ourselves. The Messenger ﷺ, he mentioned that the Muslim is Akhul Muslim. The Muslim is Akhul Muslim. لا يظلمه ولا يحقره ولا يخذله ولا يكذبه. He mentioned that the Muslim is the brother of his Muslim. Indeed, he does not oppress him, neither does he belittle him, neither does he forsake him, neither does he lie to him. And that, ayyuhal ikhwa, is from the ahadith. If one embarks upon seeking knowledge and studying the ahadith of the Messenger ﷺ and studying mathalan the Sahihain, that is from the ahadith that one will come across and one may study and even memorize. But how then does the likes of those ahadith manifest in our midst? Studying those and knowing and being familiar with those ahadith is one thing, but how do they manifest within our midst? Al-Muslimu akhul Muslim. And that is whether it is a male Muslim one for another, or the female Muslimat one for another. The Muslim akhul Muslim. The Muslim is the brother of his Muslim. And that no doubt is the same and would apply for the sister. The female Muslimah is the brother of the is the sister rather of the female Muslimah. Not then, Ikhwan, since one of the topics that we were to discuss was sisterhood in Islam, that brings us over to this topic of the relationship that is present between us as sisters, and the fact that Allah Azza wa Jal has commanded us with a number of affairs. Allah Azza wa Jal has commanded the males with a number of affairs as it relates to dealing with their brothers. But we likewise have, ayyuhal ikhwah, those ahadith and those narrations that are relative to the males are similarly relative to the females. All of those ahadith were in the Messenger ﷺ. He said, al-Muslimu akhul Muslim, that is, the Muslim, male or female, that the Muslim is the brother of his fellow Muslim, just as the female Muslim is the sister of the female Muslimah. And therefore, the fact that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ has made mention of them being brothers, and we do not carry out that which is present within this ahadith from dhulm or ihtiqar. Dhulm, that is that we prevent the right, or we prevent something from the rights of our brother or our sister from reaching them. Ihtiqar, that we belittle them. No doubt, the affair of dhulm has been prohibited in the Sharia. Unsur akhaka zaliman aw madhluma. Help your brother whether zalim or madhlum, whether oppressor or oppressed. Zaliman aw madhluma. And so the companions, they said, Ya Rasulullah, as far as the madhlum, as far as the one who is oppressed, then that we understand. But how do we help the zalim? He said, you prevent him from dhulm. You prevent him from dhulm. And so as much as we may be ardent about helping the one who is oppressed, how involved are we in helping the oppressor? That is, how much are we involved in stopping oppression among our sisters? How much are we involved in stopping and advising the one who is about to carry something out that would lead to dhulm? Or are we from among those who are from those who participate in that dhulm, who encourage it, who aid the zalim upon their dhulm, who aid the zalim in oppressing their sister? And so yes, we know that we should help our brother when he is oppressed. And the amazing thing is that the very people who we see being concerned with the affairs of the Muslims across the globe, concerned with the affairs of the Muslims who are being oppressed in their various countries, concerned with the weak and concerned with those who are less well-to-do and so on, that those are the ones who are the most, or from them, there are those who are the most active in aiding the oppressor carry out acts of oppression. And that is in our locality, in our communities, in our midst. When you hear that individual making that statement, stop it. Stop her. Stop her. Use wisdom and stop her. For indeed, it is better for her and it is better for you that you were not an accomplice in that sitting of dhulm, and in that sitting where dhulm was being conspired, and likewise you prevent your sister from amounting that which may possibly cause her to enter the hellfire Yawm al-Qiyamah. So just look at her when you're listening to her, look at her as though it is yourself, standing before Allah Azza wa Jal Yawm al-Qiyamah with these words that she is uttering. And not just be concerned with having to hear the whopping news that she has to tell you. Don't just be concerned with being up to date on what is going on in this family and that household and in that marriage and in this relationship and that situation. And so the issue then is one that we should pay attention to. Likewise, from the affairs related to our relationship, brother to brother and sister to sister is the manifestations of kibr in our ranks. And that is the manifestations of pride in our ranks. And this affair of kibr is something that the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, لا يدخل الجنة من كان في قلبه مثقال ذرة من كبر. The one who has the mustard seed, a mustard seed of kibr, will not enter Jannah. And so the companions, when they heard that statement, they said, O Messenger of Allah, indeed, al-rajul, indeed, a man, he loves that his thawb is hasan, and that his na'al, his sandals are hasan, are nice. Everyone likes to have nice dress, nice garments. And so the Messenger clarified, no, that is not the intent. Rather, he said, al-kibr, inna Allah jamilun yuhibbul jamal. He said that verily Allah is jameel and He loves jamal. Allah is jameel and He loves beauty. Allah is beautiful and He loves beauty. Then He loves that you beautify yourself and that you look good. And then He went on to clarify what it is that He meant. He said, al-kibr batrul haqq wa ghamtun nas. He said that kibr is that a person rejects the truth and that they look down upon the people. Rejection of the truth and to look down upon the people. So when that sister is addressing you, or when that sister is addressing your sister, and in her address, she's actually rejecting the truth. That you should not sit in a gathering such as that one, and it is something that is observed, that a gathering like that one, wherein a sister is saying that which is completely or diametrically opposed to the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. As far as I'm concerned, then I don't care. I don't care what Islam says about such and such. Or I don't care what you people are saying concerning this or that affair. It's something that returns back to the deen. I don't care. And everybody is silent listening to her making her statements. Nobody has enough courage to stop her in her tracks and tell her that you shouldn't say that you don't care, because it's from the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. It's something that Allah Azza wa Jal has mentioned in His Quran. It's something that the Messenger of Allah has encouraged us with. How are you going to say you don't care? That then must be stopped. And those who do so, indeed, Allah Azza wa Jal will raise those individuals in station. وَغَمْطُ النَّاسِ. And it is to look down upon the people. Looking down upon the people oftentimes has a connection with this rejection of the truth. Because it is because of the fact that a person looks down upon someone that they reject the truth that they bring. You think I'm gonna listen to such and such? You think those people could tell me anything? And that attitude is from the exact attitudes that this hadith addresses. Similarly, from the affairs that will help us in terms of our brother and sisterhood is that we put everyone in their correct and proper place. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Laysa minna man lam yarham saghirana aw yuwaqqir kabirana wa ya'rif li'alimina haqqahu." Indeed, he or she is not from us who does not honor our elderly, have mercy upon our young, and know the right of the alim. They are not from us. The one who does not honor our elderly, the older generation from among us, those who are older, show mercy to our young, and know the right of the scholar. As far as the right of the scholar, then we mentioned something concerning that earlier, but the issue of man lam yuwaqqir kabirana وَيَرْحَمْ صَغِيرَنَا, the one not honoring the older ones from among us, and having mercy upon those who are younger. That is something, ikhwan, that must manifest in our ranks, between the brothers and the sisters. Oftentimes the sisters will enter into argument or enter into debates with someone that is older than them, someone that is or someone that has preceded them to the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal, preceded them to the Sunnah, preceded them in age, and yet they talk to them as though they're talking to their child or talking to one of their children. And wallahi, that is again from the evil traits that manifest in our ranks. Those who are older than us, even by a few years, we honor and respect their age. And that is honor and respect that we give to them when we address them, when we speak to them. Or if it happens when we fall out with them, or when we have a dispute with them, that we still maintain and manifest respect and honor, and that we are noble in our terms of address, and we use terms of endearment when we address them. Oh my elder, oh my brother, or oh my mother, or oh auntie, that we use terms of endearment as it relates to them, and that we do not become disrespectful purely on the basis of the fact that we've now fallen out with them and we don't agree with something that they've said. Or perhaps one of our elderly sisters has said something that it was based in ignorance. Don't be disrespectful to her. Teach her, and teach her in a noble manner. Don't laugh at her. Teach her. Teach her. Don't giggle, and don't sit across from each other looking or making those eyes that everyone can see. Since from backbiting is backbiting that is done with the eye. Allah Azza wa Jal mentions, وَإِذَا مَرُّوا بِهِمْ يَتَغَامَزُونَ. When they pass by them, Allah mentions the affair of the kuffar. When they pass by them, يَتَغَامَزُونَ. The ghams is backbiting that is done with the eye. Lams is backbiting that is done with either the tongue or the hand. Ghams, backbiting that is done with the eye. That one indicates with his eyes towards someone. That is considered as a form of backbiting. It's a form of ghiba. And that oftentimes happens, mathalan, that people are sitting in a room or they're in a gathering, something was said, or for example someone has a garment that one wants to laugh about, and so instead of making a literal statement, they'll backbite by way of the ghams. That is that indication with the eye, and the wide eye, pointing with the eyes towards an individual. That is haram. And just because of the fact that you haven't made a literal statement, that doesn't now mean that it isn't considered backbiting. And so we observe then this mannerism, and we fear Allah Azza wa Jalla as it relates to our brothers and our sisters, and know that there are many things that can cause a breakdown in the brotherhood that is between us, and there are many things that can strengthen and make it better. From the things that may strengthen the brother and the sisterhood is that if one loves their brother, one loves their sister, that they inform them of that. And the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam commanded us with this affair, that whomsoever from among you loves their brother, then let him inform him. And so if one has love for a brother, or a sister has love for a sister, that one informs them. Sister, I just want to tell you I love you for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jalla. And the effect that that statement has upon a person, the effect that that statement has upon the soul and the relationship between those people, Just those words. The Messenger ﷺ didn't advise us with that for no reason. He advised us with it because it has an effect. Even if there is and has been ongoing disputes between brothers and sisters, even if that is the case, just something as simple as those words. You know, wallahi, I love you for the sake of Allah. Or, you know, I've respected you and hold you in high esteem, you know, for years, and you know, and so on. Words of endearment, words that will leave that person feeling that you have said something special, feeling that you have said something that will draw them closer to them. And so, from the affairs then, is that a person, when they address each other with that which will strengthen the bonds of brotherhood or sisterhood. Similarly, from the affairs that will strengthen that is that we make dua one for another. And that is, in our absence, we make dua for each other. The Messenger ﷺ informed us of the fact that there is no Muslim who makes dua for his brother Muslim except that there is an angel that says Ameen wa laka mithluh. He says Ameen, and to you is its like. There is no person that makes dua for his brother Muslim, no Muslim makes dua for his brother Muslim, and of course that is the case with the sisters, except that there is an angel that says about his dua or to his dua, Ameen wa laka mithluhu. Ameen, and to you is its like. For you is its like. Similarly, from the things that will strengthen our brotherhood and our relationship is how we meet and greet each other. When we meet each other, that we meet each other with a good countenance, even if the worries of the dunya are upon us. That we know that meeting one's brother or one's sister with a good countenance is something that is from the righteous deeds that a person will see in his scroll of deeds Yawm al-Qiyamah. The Messenger ﷺ said, لا تحقرن من المعروف شيئا ولو أن ألقى أخاك بوجه طلق. He said, do not belittle or look down upon any of the good deeds, even if it is to meet one's brother with a smiling face. And that smiling face then is something that is not only from the affairs that will strengthen our brotherhood or the sisterhood, but it is from the affairs that will be written for you Yawm al-Qiyamah, written on your scroll of good deeds, and you will see Yawm al-Qiyamah. When you smile, then an angel writes that smile. You have an angel on your right, an angel on your left. When you smile, an angel writes that smile and pens it down. And that then is reason enough and cause enough for us to have that good countenance when we meet our brother or when we meet our sister. Likewise, that we give them salam with musafaha. That is, that we give them salam and that we shake their hands. It is from the sunnah to shake with one hand, and it is not from the sunnah to shake with two hands of one. It is from the sunnah to shake with one hand. But the point is that when we meet, we give a salam and that we shake the hand. And that is from the adab of salam, that we shake the hand upon meeting. And so we smile, that we shake the hand. These, though they are oftentimes looked upon as small affairs, they are without doubt from the things that strengthen the ukhuwah, strengthen the brotherhood and the sisterhood among us. Likewise, from the things that will strengthen our relationships is al-mu'awana and al-musa'ada, is that we have a spirit of aid and support among us, and that we do not allow the attitudes that are present among the kuffar in the lands that we live in to affect our community. Since, I'm not too sure about here, I think the people of Trinidad are a lot more friendly than those who are in England, yani the non-Muslims. But in the UK and likewise in the US, there is a very big, or there is an attitude of individualistic or individualism, that I'm just concerned with myself. I'm concerned with just me, just about me at the end of the day. Number one, me, myself, and I. Concerned with myself and no one else. And so the problems that the brothers and the sisters may have, the problems that we know of in and among the community, we have no concern for them. And we have no desire to support or to aid and to stretch out the hand of aun, the hand of aid to our brother or our sister that may need it. And even if they appear to be taking care of the situation well, then at least we offer our services, we offer our aid, we offer our support. Listen, if there's anything that I can do, please take my number. This is my number. Contact me on this. Take my contact details. Just let me know, inshallah, whatever I can do to help, then I will try my best to help. If, brothers and sisters, we have a community that works with each other in this manner, then the problems of the community, ikhwan, most of them or much of them will dissipate, will disappear. Since if we are actually, if it's not just lip service, but we're actually aiding each other, we're actually supporting each other, then slowly but surely the aid and the support that we give to each other will cause much of the problems that we have to disappear, since we've come together to deal with that problem. And that is far, far better than for us to be alone, suffering, and dying internally in silence because of the difficulties that we face. And so these are from the affairs then that will cause us and will draw us closer one to another in terms of the brotherhood and the sisterhood. And so in order to round up, so as to make salah, there are numerous numerous fawaid from this affair of brotherhood and sisterhood, numerous benefits. From the benefits of this brotherhood and sisterhood is that it is from the affairs that would cause us to taste the sweetness of Iman. It will cause us to taste the sweetness of Iman, that we love for the sake of Allah, and that we are close to each other for the sake of Allah. Indeed, the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Man ahabba lillah, wa abghada lillah, wa a'ta lillah, wa mana'a lillah, faqad istakmala al-iman." Whomsoever loves for Allah, hates for Allah, gives for Allah, and prevents for Allah, then he has completed Iman. And that is without doubt, ikhwan, from the affairs then that we find manifest within our striving to establish brotherhood and sisterhood among ourselves. Similarly, from the affairs that we have, or from the benefits of this brotherhood and this sisterhood, is that within our ranks we have the establishment of peace, and the establishment of happiness, and the establishment of security among us, and that our gatherings are gatherings that are happy environments. They are gatherings that are not hostile. They are gatherings that we want to return back to. They are gatherings that we want to be in. And so that atmosphere of happiness and of peace in our ranks could be spoilt by one stupid statement, spoilt by one stupid action, spoilt by one silly argument, destroyed by a foolish debate. And therefore, if we know that that is the case, then we are ardent over avoiding anything that will break down this brotherhood and this sisterhood that we have among us, and this happiness that we feel in our ranks, and this peace and serenity and tranquility that we have among ourselves. Similarly, from the affairs that, and from the benefits of this brotherhood and sisterhood, and probably from the greatest of their benefits, is that we obtain by way of it the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As occurs in numerous ahadith, when on an occasion there was a man that went to visit his brother for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal in a township, and Allah Azza wa Jal sent an angel upon his path, and so he confronted him and said, "Where are you going? Are you going to seek something from the dunya?" He said, "No." He said, "Then is it something that you have that belongs to someone that you're going to return?" He said, "No." He said, "But verily in this township there is a brother that I love for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I'm going to visit." He said that I am the messenger of Allah to you, yani from the angels, that I am the messenger of Allah to you, informing you of the fact that Allah Azza wa Jal loves you just as you have loved your brother for his sake. Again, he said that I am the messenger of Allah sent to you, informing you of the fact that Allah loves you just as you have loved your brother for his sake. And so this loving for the sake of Allah, it is something that will cause Allah to love us. It is something that will increase, ikhwan, the nearness or drawing near to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is from the affairs that our deen call us to, ikhwan, and it is from the striking characteristics of the believers. As Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً, that verily the mu'minun are ikhwa. And this term innama, it is what is known as the adatul hasar. And the adatul hasar in the Arabic language are those particles that are used to restrict something to something. To restrict something to something. And so when we say innama, that for example, if we were to say مثلا إنما دين الله خير, that indeed the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal is khayr, or إنما الخير في دين الله, or إنما الخير دين الله, that indeed khair is the deen of Allah, then we're restricting khair to being in the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. So when the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned innamal mu'minuna ikhwa, that indeed the mu'minun are ikhwa, it is as though he is saying indeed the mu'minun are nothing but ikhwa. The mu'minun are nothing but brothers. And that then is from the greatest of the characteristics of the believers, that the believers, ayyuhal ikhwa, are brothers. They are, from their striking characteristics, they manifest the adab and the character of the one who truly loves his brother for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we'll round up then with the hadith of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "La tadkhulul jannata hatta tu'minu, wa la tu'minu hatta tahabu." He said, indeed you will not enter Jannah until you believe, and you will not believe until you love each other. Ikhwana, hadith that we hear, we commonly hear it, but reflect upon what it is the Messenger is actually saying. You will not enter Jannah until you believe. No disbeliever will enter Jannah. And you will not believe until you love each other. You will not believe until that which is related to this brotherhood and this sisterhood is established among yourselves. And then he mentioned, أَوَلَا أَدُلُّكُمْ على شيء إن فعلتموه تحاببتم. Trying to indicate and point you towards something which, if you were to do it, then it will cause you to love each other. أفشوا السلام بينكم. Spread salam among yourselves. And that then has an indication of the fact that the way we greet each other, the way we approach each other, our countenance, our presence, is from, though it's from the simple things, it is from the major causes of our unity and of our coming together. And of course, ikhwan, the asl and the origin of our unity and our ijtima is unity upon the sunnah and salafiyah. Unity upon the sunnah and upon the aqeedah, that our hearts are bonded upon the affairs of aqeedah and upon the affairs of this methodology, this manhaj salafi. Since the term aqeedah is from aqada, or to tie and bond something. And the aqeedah then is that thing that we tie and we bond and we unite our hearts upon. And so the aqeedah al-Islamiyya salafiyya sahiha is from the greatest causes of our unity and the greatest cause of us being close and having that tight knit community. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى يوفقنا وإياكم لما يحبه ويرضاه. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. The brothers want to get the books and the CDs and what have you. So perhaps if we pray first and then we have some questions and answers, and we'll give out what remains from the books and the CDs, inshallah. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Type question: if two people have a dispute within the community or have an argument, and then one of the two, after the dispute, apologizes to the other, but the other does not find it or is not able to find it within himself to forgive that person, and still seems to be holding something of a grudge for him, even though he's apologized and even though he has put forward his excuse and what have you. The origin, ikhwan, is that as it relates to the disputes that are between us, it is imperative that we take care of them now in the dunya and not in the hereafter, since there will be, those disputes will be taken care of and will be concluded and ended either in the dunya or in the hereafter. And no doubt, ikhwan, it is far greater and far better that the disputes are dealt with in the dunya than in the hereafter. There is not one of those who cross the sirat, cross the bridge over Jahannam on the day of judgment, except that after the bridge, before entering Jannah, any dispute that a person had will have to be resolved on that day. So even after you cross the bridge, if there are disputes between you, then those disputes, ikhwan, must be resolved before anyone enters Jannah. And that then is from the greatest of the things that will cause a person to look towards allowing the one who apologizes to apologize and accepting the apology from him or from her. Allah Azza wa Jal mentions idfa' billati hiya ahsan, repel with that which is better, meaning when it comes to the affair of responding to disputes and resolving disputes, then repel that which has come to you, even if you have had something from bad manners, something from aggression shown to you. Repel it with that which is better. Repel it with that which is better. So don't hold the grudge as we would in Jahiliyyah. Since Allah Azza wa Jal mentions our hukm al-Jahiliyyati yabghun, is it the rule of Jahiliyyah that they are looking for? Is it the rule of Jahiliyyah that they are seeking? And so one repels the affairs of dispute back to the book of Allah and the Sunnah, and the book and the Sunnah encourage with resolving the disputes now in the dunya before the hereafter. Since in the hereafter the affairs we mentioned, if one is not the same as in the dunya. Allah mentions فَإِذَا الَّذِي بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَهُ عَدَاوَةٌ كَأَنَّهُ وَلِيٌّ حَمِيمٌ. وَمَا يُلَقَّاهَا إِلَّا الَّذِينَ صَبَرُوا وَمَا يُلَقَّاهَا إِلَّا ذُو حَظٍّ عَظِيمٍ. That Allah Azza wa Jal mentions that if you do so, that is, if you repel evil or aggression with that which is good, with that which is better, then Allah Azza wa Jal mentions فَإِذَا الَّذِي بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَهُ عَدَاوَةٌ كَأَنَّهُ وَلِيٌّ حَمِيمٌ. Then you will see that the one who there is between you and him adawa, it is as though he has become waliyun hamim. He has become a bosom friend. He has become a close companion. And that is on the basis of carrying out that which Allah Azza wa Jalla has mentioned here, idfa' billati hiya ahsan. Repel with that which is ahsan, with that which is better. And so, as we mentioned, if it is not resolved in the dunya, it will be resolved in the hereafter. And that is not what we want. Ikhwan, there is not one of us except on the day of judgment that he will wish to cross the bridge with swiftness and enter straight into Jannah and not have to deal with any or resolve any mas'ala. As far as the one that has apologized, then of course he is the better man. The one that apologizes, then he is the better man. And it is possible that the one that holds the grudge, that he will have a problem Yawm al-Qiyamah. The one that maintains holding the grudge even though the issue is over. And so the one who apologizes, then he of course is the better man, and he is the one that is more beloved in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The one that puts forward his apologies, the one that seeks to be forgiven, even if it is that he wasn't the one really that was the one that was at fault, but he still comes forward, and that is something that is a praiseworthy characteristic that we find among the people. And so if there is a dispute, ikhwan, resolve your disputes now in the dunya before the hereafter. Resolve your disputes now in the dunya before the hereafter, because those disputes will be resolved one way or the other. Now, then, if it is that the person passes away before an apology and before resolving the dispute, if he wanted to apologize and then he passed away, if we have knowledge of that, of his desire to apologize, then it may possibly be considered that the issue is resolved. Meaning, two people have a dispute. One of them intends to apologize, but he passes away before he does so. But he's expressed that he wanted to apologize to somebody. So people knew he wanted to go and say something to the brother. And so after his death, the brother, he says that I forgive him. Or it may be that even if without knowledge of the desire to apologize, after the death of the brother, he says, anyway, I forgive him. I forgive him. And if it is then that he was wronged, if it is that he was wronged, then if it is that the one who passed away was the oppressor and the one who's still alive was the one that was wronged, if he forgives his brother even in his absence, then the dispute is over, and the affair is complete, it's finished. But if it is that he still holds a problem with the deceased brother, then that will not be dealt with until Yawm al-Qiyamah. That will not be dealt with on Yawm al-Qiyamah. And so their dispute would have to be resolved on the Day of Judgment if one of them passes away without resolving the dispute and the other does not forgive him. Allahu A'lam. as far, ikhwan, as the situation whereby the person gives an apology, but then he acts as though he hasn't actually accepted, the other individual says, "Khalas, I accept your apology." Well, then that person acts as though in actuality he hasn't accepted the apology. Then, of course, each person will be judged on the basis of his actions. If his actions are based in a rejection of the apology in actuality, and that the dispute is still, as far as he's concerned, within the heart of that person, he still feels that he was wrong, he still wants retribution, he still is not satisfied with the outcome, then, ikhwan, the affair of judgment between those individuals is still looming and hanging over the two of them. And so until they fully resolve the issue, then the affair of judgment between them on the day of judgment is still hanging over the two of them. So, ikhwan, if we forgive them, we forgive completely, and we forgive without holding any grudges. It may be difficult in some scenarios, of course, but generally, ikhwan, we forgive, and we do not take account after we are forgiven. If a woman's husband divorced her for the third time and she is pregnant, do they separate immediately or after she is given birth? No, from the pronouncement they are separate. From the pronouncement of talaq, they are separated immediately. There is no waiting period after a third divorce. There is no living together as there is in the first and the second. In the first and the second divorce, the two spouses, they remain together during the waiting period or throughout the waiting period. As far as the third talaq, then after the third talaq, which is what is known as the talaq al-ba'in, then the marriage is completely dissolved. They do not live together, they do not stay in the same proximity, they must immediately part company, since the divorce is one that is irrevocable, and the waiting period here is only for the woman. It only relates to the woman, since the husband cannot take her back. And so the waiting period is something that is prescribed, but it is prescribed to make sure, from its wisdoms, is to make sure that she's pregnant for him and what have you. And so as far as then the waiting period is concerned, she still has one, but it is not one that wherein they live together, which is the case with the first divorce and the second divorce. After a third talaq, then the two of them part company, and it is not permissible for them to remarry, except that she marries someone and then she divorces that individual. And that marriage, as we mentioned a few days ago, must be something that is done with the intent of marriage, not with the intent of making the woman halal for her ex-husband. So she must enter into that marriage with that intent, and the one who marries must marry with that intent. Now, how should a sister interact with those who she knows has been speaking ill about her, but not in her presence? They appear to be friendly. I mean, there's a number of, one or two things that she can do. There's a number of things that she can do. She can either practice al-afu, and that is that she pardons and she forgives, even though she knows that she's been spoken about. She pardons and she forgives, and she overlooks that. And she knows that in pardoning and forgiving, there is great reward from Allah Azza wa Jal. And Allah, throughout the Quran, extols the virtues of al-afu, to overlook and to pardon and to completely absolve the person of any retribution. And that, brothers and sisters, is the most beloved affair to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The other scenario, the other affair is that she confronts the sister with the intent of resolving the affair or getting to the bottom of what it is may have been said. But she does so with wisdom. She does so with wisdom, that it has reached me, that such and such and such and such, and I believe perhaps you have some advice for me, perhaps you have some nasiha for me that you want to give to me, and so on. She does so with wisdom. And so, one of those two things she may do, and the best of them is al-afu. The best of them is to pardon and forgive. Shaykh Abdul Aziz ibn Baz, he had that nature, since the people used to speak ill of him, particularly the people of takfir and jihad, make takfir of him and so on. And it is something that you would find from him, that people would approach and they would apologize. Ya Shaykh, I used to speak ill of you, and I used to backbite you, and I wish for you to forgive me. And he would say that I forgive you before you even came to me. I've forgiven you before you even come to me. And so that nature, ikhwan, is from the natures of the people of khair, and from the noble characteristics, the noble attributes of a believer. Now. Not permissible. Brother is mentioning, is a secret marriage permissible in Islam when two people marry, but they marry secretly, and then they in the daytime they pass each other as though they don't know each other or what have you. That, ikhwan, is not permissible in the deen. That is not permissible. It is not permissible for two individuals to marry except that their marriage is known by the people. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, as occurs in that hadith in the Mustadrak of Imam Hakeem, with an authentic chain of narration and authenticated by Shaykh Nasiruddin al-Albani, a'linun nikah. A'linun nikah. That is, announce the marriage. Announce the marriages. And here we have what is known as the fi'l al-amr, the verb of command, and the origin concerning the fi'l al-amr is whenever the Messenger ﷺ commands with something, the origin is that it is a command of wujub, that is wajib. Therefore, it is wajib to announce the marriage. And so, it is not permissible, ikhwan, to have this nikah al-sir, secret marriages, nobody knows about them, and the two of them, they marry and then they pass by each other in the daytime, and then perhaps in the night they'll go and book a hotel room. That, ikhwan, is again from the affairs which, in terms of the riba and the doubt that it will cause and the doubt that it will bring upon an individual, there is no doubt that that will bring and cause and bring about shak and doubt in the minds of the people. Secondly, that if they have children, how are they going to deal with that situation if she becomes pregnant? How are they going to deal with that when no one knows that they were married? And even if they now announce their marriage, the people are going, we'll do the maths. People are going to do the maths. Oh, and she's how many months pregnant, and they're getting married now. And so, what we need to understand then is that the Prophet ﷺ has commanded ikhwan with announcing the marriage, and it's not permissible to conceal the marriage. Now, the brother Musa Richardson is carded to visit Trinidad in some days. What is your advice regarding this man? Our brother Musa is no doubt min khayr ahl sunnah in the Gharb. He's from the best of the people of sunnah in the West. We've known him for many years, and known him to be upon istiqamah and upon khayr, and is a talib ilm, and is from the mustafideen, those who have benefited from ahl al-ilm in the Mamlaka al-Arabiya, Saudiya, in Saudi Arabia, in Mecca, and has studied ikhwan in al-Qura. So he's from the tulab ilm, that no doubt is from our brothers and from those who we hold in high esteem, and a brother that when he comes, inshallah, you benefit from him, bi-idhnillah. Could a brother give a non-Muslim girl shahada and then marry her, or could he carry her to the imam and let the imam give her shahada and then marry her? As far as the shahada is concerned, it doesn't require that the shahada is taken by the imam. If she's ready to take shahada, you give her the shahada. As far as the marriage though, once she embraces, then she is from our sisters, and thus anything related to an intent to marry must revolve around the necessary rulings and the necessary ahkam and adab and necessary things that must be in place. That she must have a wali. If she's from a non-Muslim family, then the imam of the masjid or the markaz or the people of knowledge in your areas, they take charge of being representatives and guardians for the sisters who don't have Muslim family. And they are, when the marriage takes place in the correct manner, that is with two witnesses, with the representative and with the dowry. And so as far as her shahada is concerned, as far as her bearing witness, then don't delay that until we bring her to the imam. If she wants to bear witness, take it from her immediately. Don't delay it. But as far as the marriage is concerned, then make sure that the marriage is done in accordance with the ahkam of the sharia. Now, what are the conditions in seeking someone's forgiveness if you apologize and they say that sorry isn't enough? What they want from you is something that you can't do. What can I do? Of course, ikhwan, if somebody is seeking forgiveness from someone, then it is either that they have wronged them in some way, shape or form by something that they have said, or that it is that they have taken from them something that they own and possess, one of their rights. And so seeking forgiveness from them, if it is something that has been taken, is by returning the item, returning the goods. If it is though, and returning the goods and apologizing and seeking their forgiveness. If it is though, that for example it is a statement that was made or what have you, then it is by way, or apology is done or forgiveness is done by way of seeking that from them directly. If apologizing would not create a worse situation, as our scholars mentioned, because in some situations, if it is for example that someone has backbitten somebody and they wish to seek forgiveness, then in some scenarios seeking forgiveness may lead to a worse evil. Seeking forgiveness for backbiting, particularly if that person doesn't know that they were backbitten, it may lead to a worse scenario. It may lead to a worse scenario. Now, and therefore the one seeks, or this individual seeks forgiveness, and the one who forgiveness is sought from them should be easy going with accepting that from them. Accept the forgiveness, accept the apology, and don't make it difficult for your brother. Now, is a boy child, if a boy child is not circumcised at birth and now is a teenager, can he still be circumcised? Now, it is possible for the adult to be circumcised. In fact, it is wajib for the adult to be circumcised. If they were not circumcised as children, we have a hadith in the Sahihain, in Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, that Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam ikhtatama wa huwa 80 sana, that he circumcised and he was 80 years old. وَاخْتَتَمَ بِالْقَدُومِ, he was circumcised with the qadum, which is an instrument that is used by carpenters. He used that to circumcise himself, and that was at the age of 80. And so what is most correct is that circumcision is wajib upon the males among this ummah. So if a child was not circumcised and have reached teenage years, then they are still circumcised, since it is the removal of filth from that individual. And there are many wisdoms connected to circumcision. Now,
the Salafi teacher, right? Him or her, their manners over the past years have been known to be very poor, and they're very knowledgeable, like how you come from, but just the manners is.
Salafi teacher, they have knowledge of hadith and what have you, but their manners are poor. Ikhwan, from the effects of correct knowledge, of sound knowledge, is that sound knowledge is manifest upon the limbs. It is manifest upon the tongue. It is manifest, ikhwan, in terms of how a person deals with another. Therefore, when we see That an individual, it is said that he possesses knowledge or she possesses knowledge, yet still they have ugly manners. The manners, ikhwan, are ugly. They have despicable manners. Then that has, without doubt, that is a reflection upon the nature of the knowledge that they possess. How is it that a person who has ittiba, following the sunnah, and a person who makes manifest following the sunnah, how is it that they oppose the sunnah in regards to that which is something that is relatively easy and is from the reasons that the Messenger ﷺ was sent? The Messenger ﷺ, he said, بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ صَالِحُ الْأَخْلَاقِ, that I was sent to complete good manners. If the Messenger ﷺ said, I was sent to complete good manners, then how is it that a person of hadith, that he has the opposite, since the whole of the sunnah has in it the manifestation of good manners? And so that puts his knowledge at question. That when a person has knowledge and their manners are evil or ugly, that puts their knowledge at question. And it no doubt has in it an indication of the fact that that knowledge, one or two things: either they didn't benefit from the alim that they took from, or from the ulama that they took from, didn't benefit as it relates to their manners, or they didn't take from any alim at all. And hence we have the manifestation of the bad manners that we see manifest at their hands. Wallahu ta'ala. We've just received news that we have a telelink now with Sheikh Arafat Muhammadi. So what we're going to do is we're going to have the telelink. I believe we're going to have to go downstairs to deal with the telelink.